when they launched the youth manifesto, I had the opportunity to listen to you on Share FM, and you gave a bit of a detail. I listened to your communication officer, I listened to the youth organizer. It was a bit of a checkered explanation, but I think the budget, the manifesto, streamlines what really the NDC is talking about. Now, you said that it will be for all first years in public tertiary institutions, including universities, colleges of education, and nursing training colleges. I want to know, what was the thinking of the NDC when they decided to do this or put it in the manifesto?
Thank you very much. Largely, let me say a good morning to the good people of Asantemai and every place that this distinguished platform reaches, and more particularly to my regional chairman, Augustus Andrews, and the people of Efijakwa South. Good morning one more time. If you ask what informs this particular promise, largely two things. You know that the ideology of the NDC is grounded on the principle of egalitarianism, the principle of equity, the principle of inclusiveness, the principle of being each other's keeper. That is why the NDC is the most diverse political party in Ghana. Everybody, you have the most experienced, the most academic, and you have the relatively downtrodden, everybody coming into the NDC. So one is to allow for access to the vulnerable, access to the less privileged. We want to see that every household has at least a tertiary graduate. And by a tertiary graduate, at least a diploma holder, at least a degree holder. That is one of the main things that influence the NDC's no fee stress. Because you see that, for instance, last year, I think about 448,000 students wrote the WASI, and then they were to go to school in the public schools. But let's ask ourselves, I think last year, the total numbers and roll numbers in all the public institutions in Ghana was around 125,000. What are we seeing? It tells you that if you take out those who are not able to make it from the 3 parts in the core, 3 parts in the electives, there's a huge number that is lagging and who could not access. Then there is another very important dimension that Ghana appears to be losing sight of, which we call it the gross enrollment ratio. When we say the gross tertiary enrollment ratio, what does it mean? What it means is that in every country there is a proportion of your population within a particular age bracket that should have been in school at the particular or specific age range. So in the case of Ghana, the age for which you should be in tertiary education is 18 to 22. And as we speak, Ghana's gross enrollment ratio is in the region of 19.11. What does that mean? What it means is that for every 100 Ghanaians who are 18 to 22 years who should be in tertiary, only 19 of them are in tertiary. That is the gross. In fact, the gross means that those who have passed and they should have the access. But when you talk of even the net tertiary enrollment ratio is around 16.7. Very, very low. Now,
when you read the medium term of the education ministry, the goal was to reach about 40% by 2030.
I'm coming there.
Yeah.
So now the Minister of Education and the medium term is saying that, you know what, we need to get to 40%. But you see, if you look at the pace at which we are going, there is no way we can reach 40% in 2030 at this pace. Why? Because we live in a country where many young people pass to go to tertiary. And one of the major reasons they do not go to the tertiary is financial. So Joanna, His Excellency, is saying that, you know what, let's do what we call leapfrogging. What is leapfrogging? Let's bring in something that can scale up quickly beyond the normal pace of movement. And that would help us to be able to reach the 40% by 2028 when he has left power. And how do we do that? That is to target about 200,000 of the students who would pass and will be eligible for tertiary education. And when you target 40%, incrementally, you'll be so when you target 200,000 minimum, incrementally, you'll be reaching the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of 40%. In 2028, we would have cut short the targeted year of 2030 by 2 years.
Okay.
So this is the rationale behind the no fee stress.
Okay. So listening to you, you did indicate that one of the things you want to do was to catch up with the gross tertiary enrollment ratio.
Certainly.
To improve access for the vulnerable people and the less privileged. Inherent in your argument, one of the arguments of the NDC during the implementation of the free SHS was about targeting. That this wholesale approach to things sometimes puts a certain strain on our budget. We know why. We know how the government works lyrically about, it will not cost much to do free SHS, and later we saw how the finances are ballooned. Why is the NDC not targeting these poor people? Using, example, the vehicle of the Student Loan Trust Fund, making it, pre-admission, because now the Student Loan Trust Fund is said that you have to be admitted before you can apply. So why don't you make it after the SHS terminates, then they come in, you get your scholarship, your resources in. Why are we not targeting it and making it wholesale? The
reason why we are not targeting is that, you see, when something is extremely low, targeting becomes of no benefit. You target when the phenomenon is quite generalized and almost everybody is assessing it. At the time we were living, or at the time the NDC left office, students who write BEC and they pass, the percentage of them who were able to get to SHS was 65%. It wasn't the best. Now the numbers have increased. If you compare 65% of students who finish BEC and they go to SHS, and you compare 19.1%, you don't need targeting to achieve this. Because it is extremely low, so you must bring everybody on board. And let me correct this. It is not the case that it is a free SHS finances that are ballooned, that is why we are where we are. It is financial recklessness. It is non-prioritization of education by the current regime. Why? What is the total cost of free SHS? 9.9 billion. Dr. Amin, what's the finance minister?
Dr. Amin Andam.
Amin Andam. In fact, it was 8.7, and just this June, they said it's 9.9. What is the public debt? 742.23 billion. Take that one out of it. No, I want to do the calculation with you. Take the 9.9 billion from it, and you will see that it is not free SHS that has brought us at where we are. In fact, it is even the non-prioritization of free SHS that has brought us at where we are. Because if you have spent, NDC left 122 billion. Take it from 742 billion public debt stock.
But Doc, you know that is not how the public debts are calculated.
I know that is not how it is calculated. Don't bring in the exchange rate, because if they had managed it better, I would not have done that.
I'm not bringing in this. I'm just saying that it's, radio is for education. The public debt is not just about subtractions, because you know that the loan can be approved, the drawdown will not come within the government that secured the fund, may come to the successive government. So it is not just about subtraction.
But in our case, we don't digress. In our case, even when we went to the IMF, the last $450 million or so came in the time of the NPP.
Yeah, so
they benefited.
Yeah, the NPP inherited an IMF economy.
An IMF economy with the last tranche they inherited. They inherited a 450 million or so in the last tranche. So it cannot be that it is the issue of finance. You ask the question, why are we not targeting? We are not targeting it because the numbers are extremely low.
Because the gross enrollment ratio is low.
It's low, so you don't even need to go and do targeting. You have to ensure that a large number of them get on board.
Okay, so